Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. My name is Juliet Clark, your host. And before we get started, I want to invite you guys to go over to our YouTube page, Super Brand Publishing, and look at some of those videos and some of our really great guests we have on over there. And you're already listening, so why not go write us a review? Maybe we'll even give you a shout out if you write a good one. If you give us a bad one, you're not going to hear from us, but just to let you know. So go over and leave us a subscribe and definitely leave us a review. So today's guest is Jenn Foster. And I just had lunch with Jenn the other day. She's actually really delightful in person, probably just as delightful here, but you won't see her eating yam fries. So you're missing out. But Jenn is the owner of Elite Online Publishing and the CEO of Biz Social Boom, companies dedicated to helping business owners of all sizes thrive in today's highly technical world of product and service promotion. From local brick and mortar stores to online entities to large international corporations, Jenn owned and operated a successful local chain of retail stores where she honed her online marketing skills. Jenn's years of experience and expertise have now helped hundreds of businesses become front page news on all of the major search engines. She's dedicated to helping businesses use powerful new online and mobile marketing platforms to get visibility, traffic, leads, customers, and raving fans. As the owner and CEO of Elite Online Publishing, she's passionate about helping busy entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professional athletes create, publish, and market their books, and really highlight their knowledge and expertise in helping others. With her marketing and digital background, Jenn uses the best strategies for her clients' books to boost their sales and marketing platforms and make them #1 bestsellers. So welcome, Jenn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you probably all are wondering, like, why are you having somebody who's a competitor on your show? She's really not a competitor. They do things a little bit differently than we do, and there's enough room out there for everyone. So tell us, you told me that the best story the other day about how Elite came into being. Will you share that with us?
Yeah. So my business partner and I met at a marketing conference in San Diego. And at the conference, this was probably the third or fourth conference we had been to together. There's kind of like a family, so to speak, of people that just kept coming, and we all became really good friends. And so this was like the third or fourth time. So we knew each other, we'd seen each other, but you only see each other for a couple days. But she was on a hot seat, and she had these private villas down in Dominican that she was renting out and giving up for charity auction consignments. And so I actually, the same year she was up on stage, I got divorced and I had a month of no kids. So I was trying to figure out what was I going to do for a month without kids. And I just knew I had to go to that private villa. So I told her that we needed to do something where we could make money while I go and hang out at the villa. So we did a book writing retreat. And before we left the conference, we had our landing page up, we had our logo made, we had everything ready and a call to action. We even practiced for the video inside the bathroom. Everyone was looking at us really funny. And then we did the video on the breaks. And when we left it was a 3-day conference, but when we left, we had our landing page up and we called it the Hot Chicks Write Hot Books on the Beach event. So we had a really great time at that event, and all of our authors became #1 bestseller.
Oh, that is so cool. Any tidbits you want to share, or does what happens in the Dominican Republic stay in the Dominican Republic?
Yeah, it really was awesome. We did some fun, right, as well as work. So not only did the authors record, that we did video recordings of them talking their book, which we then transcribed and then turned into books. But while we were there, we did book launches, and we did pre-book. So you can do a pre-sale of your book, right? So we did the pre-sale of their book, and they hit #1 bestseller before they left their retreat. And then we did some fun activities. We did 7 waterfalls. We jumped off of waterfalls. So it was lots of fun.
Yeah. What is that called there? It's not called the Seven Waterfalls, but I was there 2 years ago, a cruise ship.
Yeah, we went, it was in Puerto Plata, and I can't remember the name of the waterfalls, but I think you can do up to, I think there's 20, there's something, there's a lot, but we just did like half. We just did some
Yeah.
of them.
I remember that there was like a whole day, half a day trip that went out there.
Yeah,
So,
that was great.
so you got into this and you've written how many books now?
So now I have 14 bestsellers. And when we first started, Melanie and I thought of, she had two books and I had 3 books when we first started on our own. And so we decided to collaborate and we did story starters. So we have 7 story starters, and they're how to write your story depending on what you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those are kind of more journaling type books. And then we just started publishing books together, and she has 13 total now and I have 14 total. And then we've helped others. We have over 100 authors that we have helped them self-publish their books as well.
Nice. Now you guys are a little high end, so walk us through some of your services and why people, because you're really out in that expert space, of course, elite online publishing, but why do the real thought leaders need the things that you guys sell?
Yeah, well, the big thing, of course, they say 80% or even more than that. I think it is 80% of people have thought about writing a book or they want to write a book, but only 1% actually do it. Mm-hmm. And the reason that being is they don't know how, for one, or they don't know what to write about, or they know what to write, but they don't know how to publish it, or they publish their book, but now they don't know how to make money with it, don't know how to leverage it. So I think that's kind of what differentiates us from a traditional publisher or even another publishing company is we do a lot of marketing. So not only the bestseller campaigns on all the lists, but we also make sure that the author knows how to use their book. We put them on podcast tours, we put them on media tours, we put them on, different things that are going to help them leverage their book, teach them how to use their book when they're speaking, teach them how to give away their book on their website, or all the different ways. I think one of the books I wrote is the top 20 ways to make money with your book. It's called Books to Bucks. And that was the 3rd book I wrote before I met Melanie.
Nice name.
Yeah, Books to Bucks. And it's actually, we do actually do a bonus in there. So it's 21 ways to, and there's a lot more than 21 ways to write a book, right? And I think the subtitle of that book also says, sorry about that. It also says, even if you haven't written it yet. So the top 20 ways to make money with your book, even if you haven't written it yet, which is what happened to those girls on our retreat. So they hadn't even written their book yet, but we did a pre-launch of their book, a pre-sale, which is the same as, the pre-releases of DVDs, or now, of course, they're not DVDs, but you can buy you can pre-order any movie, even though you won't get it digitally downloaded until the day of the release, right?
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing. So Disney does it, everyone does it. You can pre-order things, and then when it's released, you get it. Right. So that's what we did with those.
She just told you guys how old she is.
There you go. Yeah.
DVDs. It's so funny. My son rented an apartment this weekend, and it came fully furnished, and they were bragging about, look, we have over 100 DVDs, and a DVD player. And my son's like sitting there going, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You old folks that I just rented from.
You mean I have to fast forward and
I
can't just stream whatever I want.
I know, it's actually pretty right. I can't stream it. It's not just going to come up. I can't, Netflix. So you guys do a lot of campaigns that you market before and after. So explain the pre-marketing, because I think that's where people really get caught is they think, okay, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to worry about the audience later. I'm going to worry about the marketing later. And then it's crickets because they didn't really cultivate that audience in advance.
Right. And you kind of hit it right on. I mean, with anything, when you're selling anything, whether you're selling a book or selling a product or promoting anything, if you don't know who your audience is, then you're not going to be able to sell very many of it, right? So if you know who your audience is, and even when you're writing the book, you are writing to that audience. I actually heard of a gentleman who wrote a book for 2 people, like 2 individual people. So his target market was 2 people. And he wrote this book for those 2 people that they owned corporations, and he knew that one of them was going to hire him. And he wrote the book specifically for them. He
Mm-hmm.
mailed them a copy of his book, and he put a note on the book that said, read page 45. I know that this will help you in your business. And of course, the person who got the book turned to page 45 and he got hired. And it was that was his main job that he was looking to get hired for. And that target audience is the number one thing in any book, right? So if you don't know who you're speaking to, then it's hard to get anyone to buy your book, right? So you can't just say, oh, my book's for everyone. I want everyone to read it.
Yes.
No. Now, if everyone read it, I'm sure it would be beneficial to them, but you really need to have, who your target market is before you start writing, or when you make up that call to action in your book.
Yeah, that's such a great point you just made, because I've had people come to me with programs and books, like let's say happiness. That's the one that comes to my mind off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And when I ask them, who's the happiness program for? It's for everybody. Everybody needs to be happy. The problem is not everybody wants to be happy. There are people out there that their unhappiness is serving them some way. So you can't make assumptions like that when you're doing things like this.
Right. Yeah. So when you have that target audience, then it's easier to write your book, of course, but it's also easier to sell your book and easier to market your book. So that pre-marketing works really good because you can start getting those followers. You can start getting your tribe and the people who are going to be buying that book on your book launch date, right? You can start getting that following. You can start getting those supporters and those people who are going to read your book. And there's a lot of marketing campaigns you can do before, whether it's email marketing or social media marketing campaigns, to get that buzz and get that excitement around the book. One of the things that we do, which I'm sure a lot of people do, is just, I think a lot of authors don't do, which is tell people I'm writing a book, right? That the launch date is this day. We're going to be releasing the book on this day. Like a lot of authors don't announce it because they're nervous or worried or whatever. So announcing that date and then sharing little tidbits of that journey as you're going along really helps. It's like, hey, I'm writing the book. Great. Then you can get some response from that. Hey, I'm picking my title. Here's the 4 titles that I came up with. Let's do a Facebook poll. What title do you guys like best? You'll get comment after comment after comment, and they'll probably help you write your title, right? Because that audience is really who's going to read your book. Right. And then it's, okay, well, here's my book cover. I've got these 3 options. Which one do you guys like best? All of that engagement on social media or even emails, sending emails to your list, that engagement is what's going to help you not to only determine, maybe you already chose your book cover and that's final, but maybe you're going to get some comments or some suggestions that's going to make your book cover better.
Right. And the engagement is important. So I'm going to tell you guys a secret, and I know Jenn will probably concur with this. When I see you posting after your book has published saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, I know that nobody's buying your book. Right. I also know that you did not do this the right way. Would you agree with that?
Totally. And there's so many more ways to actually say, go buy my book without saying, go buy my book. Like we tell our authors, and I know not all of them do it because a lot of them don't want to do it. And it is getting out of your comfort zone, being authentic, doing those Facebook Lives, read a chapter or even a paragraph of your book on Facebook Live, and then talk about it. I think you're probably going to get more sales from doing that than having a post that says, go buy my book.
Exactly. But let's talk about something for a minute, because I'm having a guest in a couple weeks, Jenn Koken, who deals with Imposter Syndrome. And you mentioned a couple things about outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
I think a lot of authors, the reason I'm having her on is we get ready to publish and then we get scared. Like how well it's going to be received. Oh my God, everybody's going to see I'm a fake. There's so many things that go through the head. So I don't know about you, but I can actually see when they're doing it because they start to do weird things. They procrastinate, they disappear. How about you? What are some of the funniest things you've seen people do during that time?
Totally. Well, I think with Facebook Live, it is nerve-wracking because you're going on Facebook Live. You're worried about what people are going to say, but it's the same as if you're speaking in front. If you get on stage all the time and you're speaking on stage, how is that any different, right? You prepare what you're going to say, you turn on Facebook Live and you say it. You just be authentic and real. You just have that conversation. What if your girlfriend came over and she wanted to know what was in your book and she wanted you to read a chapter of your book? Would you open your book and read a chapter? Yeah, you would. So that's how you approach it. And so it is kind of nerve-wracking to say, people are going to call me out or people are going to say I'm fake. But the truth is that if you are an expert and you wrote your book with your expertise and your knowledge, then that isn't true. It's just something you're telling yourself, right?
It is. And the other thing about that is that most of those people who are critical have never written a book before in their life. So They don't really know what it is. Full transparency here. My best friend did not read my books. She told me, I was like, what did you think? What did you think? And she's like, I'm not buying it, which I was immediately insulted. And she's like, I don't want to have to tell you if it sucks. And I will.
Well, and that's the truth because, and when I was saying, it's like telling your girlfriend, but the truth is I'm sure I know my girlfriend did buy my book, but did she read it? I guarantee she did not read it. So I guarantee that if she came over, she probably wouldn't want me to read a chapter out of it, but that's probably because she's not interested in that. Right. But she's not my target audience. Right. So you got to think about that. Right. So that's another thing to think about when you are doing your Facebook Lives or doing that when you're trying to get engagement is who do you want to read your book? Who is that target audience? What do you want to say to them? Mm-hmm. And what do they want to hear? How can you help them? I mean, that's really what your book is for, is to solve a problem for them. So solve that problem for them, help them, guide them, teach them. And that's, if it's a nonfiction, self-help type of book, then that's what you're doing. Now, if it's a different kind of book, I mean, there's all sorts of books, right? You could just be sharing your story. You could just be a memoir type book. It could be a fiction book. So, but then if it's a fiction book, you already know what your audience wants. They're telling you. They're telling you what they want you to write next, or you're having conversations about some of the characters, or there's lots of different things you can do with fiction. But with nonfiction, I mean, I really think you really just have to, it goes back to that, who is your target audience?
Mm-hmm. So I think the message there was, don't take it personally, mm-hmm. because, I didn't take it personally, but everything is not for everybody. So you can't be like, half of my friends they wouldn't be remotely interested in what I do. And I wouldn't be interested in what they do. We're friends for other reasons. So don't get all up in that. The other thing is remembering that you're not going to make a bundle off your book. They're tools. Right. So having those expectations that are it might even be a lost leader for you.
Right. Now think about how many authors there are in the world and think of the average book. So if you think of all the authors in the world and the average book, they say, I don't know who they are, but they say that the average book sells 200 copies in the lifetime of the book. So that doesn't mean in the first year, that means the lifetime of the book. And the reason that is mostly because of marketing, mostly because the book wasn't written for a specific audience, or you wrote if you actually have the audience before you write the book, you already have your sales, right? So, one of our authors, the Free Mama, she helps women to quit their jobs and come home and freelance and be a stay-at-home mom while they're making a living as a freelance, with whatever they're good at. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. So when she wrote her book, she already had a following. She already had a digital training course. She already had followers. I think she had over 2,000 followers that were her biggest fans, right? Plus she did have her digital training course ready to go. So her book was pretty much telling her story, telling people how they too can do what she did, quit her job, come home and be freelance and work from home. And then she had a great call to action, which was, if you want to do this too, get my 6-week course and you can do it too. Mm-hmm. But she wrote her book for her audience already. Right. So she already had her sales ready on the day of the launch, right? We knew how many sales she was going to get because she knew how many supporters she already had, which was perfect because she sold a lot more than 200 copies, right? Mm-hmm. So she was above average. But I think that realistic expectation, you really do have to put that into play, and that's kind of something that, Lauren Golden with the Free Mama, she already knew it wasn't about how much money she was going to make. on each sale of the book. The price of the book doesn't matter. The printing of the book doesn't matter. How much is it going to cost to print? We get that question all the time. That doesn't really matter. What's going to matter is what is your call to action and how are you going to make money with your book? It isn't the book sales. It's if you gave away your book and it solves someone's problem and they can sign up for your bigger service and your bigger product, whether it's a digital training course or coaching or hiring you to speak on stage, whatever it is that you're doing and the purpose that behind your book, that's how you make money with the book. And we have people who write a book for a foundation, so maybe they just want money to be donated to their foundation. It's not always about selling some other product. There's a message there. It depends on the book, right? There's a message for each book. Or we've even had, we had an author who wrote her memoir, and she was a TV host personality in Texas, and she wrote her memoir. And, the purpose of that book wasn't to really make money on some other side thing, right? It was really just, let's tell that story for those people who want to remember back to those days. And then she did do a lot of media appearances afterwards. So it was about book signing parties, media appearances, because she was kind of a TV personality, right? She was a TV personality.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. One of our clients we haven't even published officially put it on Amazon yet. And he just told me this morning that he's on his second 1,000. They use it just like you were talking about. You can get your free book and they give away a t-shirt and something else. And then they sell them into the workshop. That's their goal, is their weekend workshop. And then from there up into, significantly other, bigger products. So they don't really care. And so they've already gone through their first printing because they're mailing them. They actually did have to print them. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can use these to bring bigger business.
Right.
And that's how, as an expert, you should use them, because that's the core of your business that's going to make you money, not $1 a book royalty on that.
And the truth is if you have a book and you're an author and you're not using it as a tool, like if you don't have a copy in your car or a copy when you go to networking events and hand it out, then you're not really leveraging your book. Because, if you hand out business cards, people will throw away that business card. I mean, they might use Camcard and take a picture of it and save your information, or they might call you and have you on your podcast or whatever, right?
Right.
But they're most likely going to throw that business card away eventually. But if you give them a book, they're going to put it on their table. They're going to put it on their shelf. They're going to put it somewhere. They're not going to throw away that book. Right. And maybe they'll read it. Maybe.
I don't know.
Even if they don't, they're going to keep it. They're not going to throw it away.
I got a lot of books over here people have handed me that I haven't read.
Right. But they're on your shelf and you're not going to throw them away.
Okay.
Right? So that's the great thing. The great thing about having a book, or to give the book away, that's one of the challenges we give to our authors, is try and give a book away a day, which you can mail it out, right? That's another one of the ways to make money with your book. Like that other guy did, mail it to that specific person. We had a realtor who wrote a book, and instead of sending just one copy, she sent a copy for each person in the office. So imagine a box of books shows up in an office and every single person gets a copy of the book on their desk. Do you think people are going to be talking about you? Probably, right? You just gave away 30 or however many, 60 copies of your book.
Right. That's great.
The whole floor, right?
So where can we find you and Melanie? Melanie couldn't make it today, but where can we find you and Melanie at?
Yeah, so you can find us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I just learned, I went to a conference on Monday and Tuesday in Vegas and learned a lot more about TikTok, but I haven't posted anything there yet, but that's where all the youngins are. So that's fun. But we're not on TikTok yet, but I know that there's some big dogs who are. It's kind of fun.
Interesting. Are we going to learn how to eat Tide Pods? They do over there?
I don't know. They do so many different things. I don't know. It's more of an entertainment platform right now, but
yeah, but somehow they'll end up monetizing it some way.
Yes,
they always
somehow.
Do.
They always do.
Thank you very much, Jenn.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, reach out to us on there if you want to publish a book with us, or if you want to get in touch, or even just market your book that you haven't leveraged enough, then reach out to us and we can help you with that.
Great. Thank you.